I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think that whatever our government has been doing, they've been trying to do it to help us, not to hurt us.
What do you love about America?
What do I love about America? Free enterprise. Free enterprise works really well. I've been doing it all my life.
Well, as an American, what does liberty mean to you?
What does liberty mean? I guess freedom, yeah. Freedom, yeah.
Okay.
Liberty. Perhaps it would help to get a refresher on what the word actually means. Wikipedia defines liberty as the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life. Taking that into consideration, many Americans would say that defines this country. But what if the many liberties and freedoms Americans believe they have is an illusion? The great illusion starts at the moment of birth with poisonous vaccines loaded with mercury, preservatives, and other toxins. Many have spoken out against this, including Rebecca Carley, MD. She states, "If children receive all the recommended vaccines, they will receive 2,370 times the allowable safe limit for mercury in the first 2 years of life." As if there is such a thing as a safe amount of toxic poison. The most effective way to take your liberties as a human being is an attack on the mind, body, and soul. And to achieve this, they have focused on one critical target in the brain, the pineal gland. Our pineal gland is located at the geometric center of our brain between the two hemispheres and is part of the body's endocrine system. Melatonin secreted by this gland generally contributes to feelings of well-being and happiness. It also regulates our sleep and wake cycle. The pineal gland has many unique aspects. It is responsible for our DNA system. Blood flow through the gland is very high and second only to the kidney, making this a special gland, as most other parts of the brain are separated from the bloodstream by the blood-brain barrier. The pineal gland also has light transducing abilities like our eye's retina. Now that we have a basic understanding of the physiology and functions of our pineal gland, let's take a deeper look and see why this gland may be one of the most, if not the most significant and important part of our brain and body.
We look back through the evolutionary steps that we took as different animals through history, and reptiles, much like dinosaurs and the smaller ones that followed after, they actually utilized their pineal gland as a sort of a third eye on the top of their head. It didn't distinguish a lot of detail, but it could tell if something was coming from behind, especially in smaller lizards. Some of them still alive today have this on top of their head, and they could see if patterns of light change, and they know when a predator is coming. And as we developed our brain more and more, it became more part of the center and not so much the top. We developed our mammalian brain as opposed to just the reptile brain. And you could speculate that as we became more introverted, the role of the pineal gland changed from sensing things behind us to sensing things within us.
Renowned French philosopher René Descartes, regarded as the principal seat of the soul, where all thoughts are formed, the epicenter of enlightenment. Since it has been found the gland contains light-sensitive cells that function like a retina, it also has been called our third eye. Our pineal gland is shaped like and named after the pine cone. And the pineal gland's sacred symbol of the pine cone has been used throughout history and cultures around the world. The ancient Egyptian staff of Osiris depicts two intertwining serpents that rise up to meet at a pine cone. Many scholars and philosophers have noted the staff's symbolic parallels to the Indian Kundalini energy, which is a spiritual energy in the body. This energy is depicted as coiled serpents rising up along the spine to meet at the third eye. As it rises, it aligns the chakras and is said to bring true enlightenment, knowledge, and understanding. Not only the Egyptians, but the Hindus, Buddhists, Assyrians, Greeks, Romans, and even the Vatican have used this pine cone as a symbol of the third eye, enlightenment, and true spiritual transformation. Our pineal gland is the physical representation of our doorway to true enlightenment and spirituality. It is a part of every single one of us and is our innate freedom, right, and liberty to have full access to it. And if we as people would access this doorway, we would be a people of higher awareness, intelligence, critical thinking, and questioning. Which is why those seeking to control us have made the pineal gland target number one. Their method? Poison. And their poison of choice is fluoride. America started adding sodium fluoride to the public drinking water in 1945, after World War II. They cleverly devised a marketing campaign to get the public to believe their lies that fluoride was needed to prevent tooth decay. A chemist named Charles Perkins wrote a letter to the Lee Foundation for Nutritional Research in 1954. In this letter, he explained how a German chemist for IG Farben, a Nazi member, told him of a plan devised to fit Hitler's vision for Germany.
I remember when I was in elementary school, every day we would have to take fluoride. Our teachers would give us fluoride.
This was a far-reaching plan for mass control of a population in any given area through mass medication of drinking water supplies. In his letter, Mr. Perkins said, repeated doses of infinitesimal amount of fluoride will in time reduce an individual's power to resist domination by slowly poisoning and narcotizing a certain area of the brain, thus making him submissive to the will of those who wish to govern him. The real reason behind water fluoridation is not to benefit children's teeth. It's to reduce the resistance of the masses to domination, control, and loss of liberty.
As a worker here in the health food store, I can tell you that a lot of people come in with serious concerns about sodium fluoride in toothpaste, especially for children. They believe it's toxic, and they look for toothpastes that don't have it in. And I have to say that there really aren't many in the so-called health food lines that don't have fluoride in. They still seem to want to put it in. Hopefully there'll be more.
Albert Einstein's nephew, Dr. E.H. Bronner, also a chemist, warned the people of Massachusetts of water fluoridation in 1954. He said, "It appears the citizens of Massachusetts are next on the agenda of the water poisoners. Fluoridation of our community water systems can well become their most subtle weapon for our sure physical and mental deterioration." These warnings and many others were not heeded. England in the late 90s, a scientist named Jennifer Luke was the first to study sodium fluoride's effects on the pineal gland. Her findings discovered that the pineal gland was prime target for fluoride. The gland simply absorbed more fluoride than any other physical matter in the body, even the bones. Her conclusions were a breakthrough, providing the missing link between a lot of hypothesized physiological damage from sodium fluoride, but not yet positively connecting it. Fluoride calcifies the tissues of the gland and effectively inhibits its greater functions. Remember what Charles Perkins said. Fluoride slowly poisons a certain area of the brain. That area is the pineal gland.
Now, not a lot of research has been done on exactly decalcifying and getting the fluoride out of the pineal gland and other parts of the body, but we can look at other ways that just sort of make sense for cleaning it out. One of them being, one of the most important, I think, is obviously discontinuing consuming the fluoride, and then you take supplements and whatnot to help break down the buildup over time. And it's going to take some time as well. One thing I suggest to people always is to drink green tea, especially just switching out of coffee, because coffee contains fluoride as well. Switch to the green tea, and what green tea does is cleans calcium buildup that goes into our arteries and capillaries. So once this starts working its way through your brain and in your bloodstream, it's eventually going to make its way to the pineal gland, and this decalcifying effect might start to take place there as well.
There's been years and years of studies done on this. The United Nations has, the Water Quality Association, which I believe is a valuable part in protecting our future in water. They gather all the information about water and they make it available to the public. You can find it online. It's very easy. So I recommend that you go there to educate yourselves a little bit more about water. Now, getting back to the main issue here, let's discuss chemicals in our water. The United States has been putting chlorine in our water since about 1904. Scary but true. This chemical is one of the most deadly chemicals ever made by man. Now what this chemical does, not only what it does to our bodies, and believe me, there's been years of studies on this, and you can find the information again on the Water Quality Association's website, but with years of studies on this, they found that chlorine, when it mixes with other chemicals, it causes another chemical called trihalomethane. Now, be it as it may, the federal government has gone ahead and put a standard on that and a level for how much we should have in our water. But the scientists and doctors tell us that the amount should be 0. Now, what happens when chlorine mixes with other chemicals? It causes this chemical, which is even worse than the other chemicals. If you're adding more chemicals to your water, I believe that you're just going to create a higher amount of trihalomethane. And when I went and looked it up about it, this is what I found. So when I hear about fluoride and us adding another chemical to our water, I'm dead against it. There is no medical information, there hasn't been any controlled studies done that proves that fluoride in your water prevents cavities. It's a myth. And for the fact of the matter, fluoride is a known carcinogen just like chlorine is. So let's have a party. Let's just keep adding chemicals to our water.
We may not see today all the propaganda advertising all the lies of the so-called benefits of sodium fluoride. But that doesn't mean the government isn't still pushing the poison. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also called the CDC, has proclaimed the fluoridation of drinking water to be one of the 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century. The CDC provides grant money to communities to optimize the fluoridation levels in their water systems. The state we live in, Florida, has many communities that receive such funds. 70% of Florida's population, 13 million plus, are drinking fluoridated optimized water, and I happen to live in one of those communities. Cape Coral, a family-oriented community in southwest Florida, is definitely on the agenda of the water poisoners. The Greater Pine Island Water Association, responsible for water management for the area, received $53,817 in grant money to optimize the fluoride levels in the water system. The association states, the goal is to help the residents of the Greater Pine Island community fight tooth decay. On the association's website, they explain how they optimize the water. They mined mineral fluorite and treated it with sulfuric acid. As they state, the final product further refined into hydrofluorosilicic acid. Wikipedia defines hydrofluorosilicic acid as an unstable poisonous corrosive acid. They also state, this is not sodium fluoride, basically saying to the people it's not that poison while neglecting to tell them that it's the distant cousin, also a poison.
You might find yourself asking, what water do I drink? A lot of people learn about this and they get really freaked out. They don't think that there's anything safe out there for us to drink. That's not true. There's a lot of alternatives that we can switch to, and one of them being distilled water and another being reverse osmosis. There's some controversy between these two, being that some people say that it rips minerals out of the body and can make you deficient, which if you're relying on water solely for your minerals, you're going to be deficient no matter what.
There's a lot of false information about water purification systems and people that test your water. So I urge you to go ahead and look into all of this and then make a sane decision, get your water tested, find out what's in it in your area, so you can make a better educated decision as to what you want to do. And before you just jump to any filtration system because it says filtration, find out from a specialist what your water needs. Water dictates what kind of filtration system you use. It's not a case of you like a nice car and you pick out that model. The water filtration system is based on the quality of the water.
Sodium fluoride, which is used in rat poison and as a pesticide, and hydrofluorosilicic acid, a waste product of the nuclear, aluminum, and phosphate fertilizer industries. The EPA has classified both as toxins. America adopted the Nazi plan of poisoning drinking water to render your pineal gland useless to lie dormant and calcified over with fluoride. As a result, many Americans are not critical thinkers, asking questions. Therefore, it is much easier to manipulate and control you with the illusion of liberty, while they move forward with their agenda of false flag terrorisms to incite fear that leads to war and causes the people to be more willing to give up what liberties they have. They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserves neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin.
Do you think that we're actually born with our liberties, like our God-given liberties, or is that something the United States gives to us?
No, everybody has their own liberty. It's just people stand up, and other people stand up a little bit more and make it better for everybody else.
Very cool. What would you say is your favorite liberty?